tell you what you have. You have a person who is dead, JonBenet Ramsey, and as we sit here, to my knowledge, some 14 months later, there's nothing of a definitive nature, any forensic evidence, that would place someone else at the scene.
It's a staged crime. It's a staged event.
Right. Well,
look at the note.
Yeah.
I mean, the note is an obvious stage.
Exactly.
That is not.
When you consider, I mean, consider all this.
Ransom note.
Consider all this that takes place that we just
If you sit down and write that note,
then,
which was written in left hand, by the way, if you sit down and write that thing with your left hand, 2.5 pages, single space like that, doing this, if you're right-handed, I tell you what, first of all, your hand gets tired after a page, but it takes at least, this thing takes 35 minutes to write out. Just sitting right out.
Of course.
That's a long time, besides the fact that there's a lot into it as far as ideas and
it's the most
someone
sum of money, the SBTC, two big bank trading center reference. Come on.
It's really all they have.
Involved ransom note.
And where's the paper come from?
Yeah.
The paper was in the house, right?
It comes from a notepad that was in the house. In fact, the way it was found...
The guy that came in from the outside that killed her forgot to bring paper.
Yeah.
And he forgot when he wrote the ransom note, hey, she's already dead downstairs in the basement. That's a bad ethnic joke.
And the Sharpie pen it was written with was also found inside the home. The FBI did figure that out.
But aren't you also trying to put some rationality on what we all agree is a crazy, sadistic event? You know, I mean, you sit here and you try to, analyze
Criminal patterns is what we're looking at here. And when you're seeing them, when they fly in the face of each other, you see criminal patterns that are consistent. When you see dynamics flying in the face of each other and conflicting, it tells you something's greatly wrong here.
Well,
and, I mean,
no doubt
a simple formula. Put up a simple formula. Note at the house, Mrs. Ramsey finds at 5 a.m. and 5:30 in the morning, the child shouldn't have been there. It's a ransom note.
Tell me this, why were there no prints on that note? Now, that's strange. Someone wore gloves.
I don't know that, But,
well, if you wear...
How can there be no prints? No prints.
Let me finish my point. I think it's important because it tells the whole story. The note's in the house, found at 5:30 in the morning by Mrs. Ramsey. The child shouldn't have been there. The child's in the basement dead. You shouldn't find a note. When the note and the child are dead, these are these conflicting things. You don't write a ransom note saying get $118,000 when you'd kill the kid and leave her in the basement.
Leave her in the basement.
This person would have to be psychotic to do something like that. But if he were psychotic, he couldn't enter the house, go into the house, go to the second floor, get the child, bring her probably down that spiral staircase, bring her down to the first level, bring her down to the second level, kill her, go back up and get some paper, go back down and write the note, go back up to the second level and leave the note and leave. How long is that going to take you?
Well, I don't know.
And a psychotic person is not going to be that organized.
Might have been psychotic when he did a whole lot of very involved
He was suffering from a very specific type of psychosis. That's paranoia, where you retain a lot of your intellect.
But whatever. I mean, all I'm saying is that we're talking about trying to create a crystal ball, and I don't know that, Cyril's got an explanation. You've got an explanation, Carol. What have you heard about, different theories? The theories of the.
Well, there are three. There's one that the father did it, the mother was an accomplice. There's one the mother did it, the father was an accomplice, and there is the intruder theory. And we've got like 5 different intruders.
By some people, by some people.
You look at the different kinds of intruders they've thrown out.
That the brother.
You got the 9-year-old brother.
I'm just
but the brother is really a witness.
I'm not saying it's my
Many people believe the brother had something to do with it, but he's an important witness.
Which does explain, from one perspective, why the mother and father would stick together like this and would look anybody in the eye in the cameras and your cameras or somebody else's and say, I did not kill my child. Of course, that doesn't mean that they're telling the truth, but I'm saying it's one psychological explanation for their ability to do that.
Well, we actually did work on the Rodney King case where they analyzed the videotape, looked at, did some testing on baton strikes, how much force it would take, an officer to, and they strike a person.
I found particles as small as a flea leg. Frank goes, yeah, and a flea's knee.
When you want to identify people, and you go to the OJ trial where they're trying to find a DNA marker and identify a person by their actual DNA structure.
We talk about the fact that there was no DNA found from outside the family, but there was some under her fingernails. I think what police are looking at now, and pathologists are talking about and agreeing and disagreeing over, is the DNA which was under her fingernails was cracked and hardened. It was old DNA. It was not hunks of skin that she got from fighting off an attacker. So that DNA under her fingernails is not going to prove anything.
No,
but there wasn't anybody in the family wouldn't need anything.
Right, that's not.
So we're
that's
still
not
down to the
ridiculous.
no outside DNA and the no breaking
I
in.
have it from pretty reliable sources that there is no DNA evidence that is being reviewed, at least by the DNA experts.
What would DNA under the fingernails? What would hairs and fibers? I mean,
Exactly.
they
Well,
live in the house.
but fibers that they, supposedly they have fibers.
What would a defense attorney say about that? They live there.
No, but
I don't
fibers.
care where those fibers are found, even in her vaginal
Well,
area.
that's what supposedly is found.
But
They can still explain it
But
away.
what happens if it's
mean
fiber that doesn't come from the Ramsey's house?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
okay.
That if it's
That's
in the
good.
vaginal area, then indeed that would be significant. And
But this is what I keep
my
on coming back to. Listen to all the different ways that we can, and when we discuss this case, oh yeah, that it could go that way, it could go that way.
But what we've seen thus far, we're talking about what we've seen.
If you don't have anything to hide, why are you trying to hide anything? But if your child had been brutally murdered, would you indeed be willing to subject yourself to this media circus and to all these things, especially if you had the financial means to separate yourself from that?
Yeah, but the stress has got to be pretty
No,
tough.
I think it was
Keeping
just one of the parents, then eventually the other one would give in.
We'd figure it out.
Yeah.
And if it's both, then one of them's going to make a slip.
most of these discussions and debates and differences of opinion, I think, have centered around the fact, yes, Ramseys, no Ramseys. The issue may well be which Ramsey. A jury, ultimately, will determine whether, with reasonable medical certainty, whether or not there is any evidence there from another person. The Ramseys, then, as defendants in a trial, will have every right to convince the jury that they did not do it.
Well, that's not what we do in America, okay? What we do in America is have a government that says, I believe that I have evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's when I bring the case. Not let's throw it out for a jury to decide and see if the Ramseys, if we bring them into court, can prove otherwise.
They did allow us to do some DNA analysis.
It's clear the color changed. There must be a chemical reason for
No
that.
embalming. Godfrey, you got to understand.
I get
no
it.
embalming.
Really good. Everybody seems to know you.
Well, yeah, they act like it.